Back in 2018, Square Enix put out a game on the Switch called Octopath Traveler, and people loved it. The game told 8 different but kinda converging stories about 8 unique characters traveling throughout the land, with 4 dedicated chapters to each character. Needless to say, this filled a JRPG-sized hole in a lot of Switch owners' hearts. Naturally, a game this well received had a ton of people just chomping at the bit for a sequel. Fast forward to February 21st, 2021. Nintendo's first Direct since 2019 had people salivating at what the company would announce today. About halfway through the Direct, a trailer starts, showcasing this 3-way scale and character art that feels very familiar. As the characters are introduced, cuts of gameplay appear showing 2D sprites on a 3D plane. Is this Octopath Traveler 2? This looks kinda different. This ain't that classic turn-based JRPG goodness that Octopath fans are familiar with. This is a brand new tactical RPG from Square Enix. Set for launch in 2022? Project Triangle Strategy. The trailer ends with an announcement that a demo would be available once the Direct is over. So I've played through the demo twice now, and this game definitely has a lot going for it. Although I'm not quite sure if this demo was the right choice for Square Enix to release in order to entice new players. I'm BillTheFajita, and I'm worried about Project Triangle Strategy. And spoiler alert, as I'm going to be talking about some story elements of the demo. On the surface, this game is absolutely gorgeous. The 2D sprites in a 3D world look as great as they did in Octopath Traveler. The lighting's dynamic, and the water? Ooh, that water! They also do this really fun thing where when you rotate the camera around, you can see the battle is actually a diorama on the world map, and you can even see the compass rose. That's a really cool touch. The music is absolutely up to Square Enix's incredibly high standards, and the music tonally matches any environment that you're exploring. Unfortunately, this demo doesn't let you do very much exploring during its approximate 3-hour playtime. So the demo drops you into Chapter 6 of the story, where you learn that after a time of peace, the army of Ace Frost attacks the neighboring nation of Glenbrook. You start off by watching a narrated segment, which actually does a pretty great job setting the backdrop, followed by a long cutscene introducing some characters. When I first played the demo, I didn't actually control anything besides scrolling text until past the 10-minute mark. One major flaw with this demo, and possibly the game moving forward, is that it absolutely relishes in its cutscenes. It's also really jarring to hear people with American accents reading text and words that are definitely stylized in Old English. Seriously, name one person with an American accent that uses the word betrothed as much as this game does. So in this cutscene, there's also a ton of story elements happening here, kind of summarizing what's been going on for the first 6 chapters. And while normally I get into the lore, I found myself kind of wanting to skip these long texts because I know that once I reach chapter 6 in the actual game release, I'll be way more emotionally invested in the story. But for now, I just want to play the dang game. After this first cutscene, you're presented with the opportunity to explore an area that will set the stage for your upcoming battle. Here, you can move your character around and search every corner for hidden items, as well as talk to all the NPCs on the map. The issue with the movement, though, is that both the camera and the character feel extremely slippery and have this kind of weird momentum behind them. So you never feel like you're getting an exact movement that you really want, and you feel almost like Luigi in all the Mario games where you gotta slow down a little bit right before you want to stop, or you gotta just be careful about the camera because it may mess with where you're trying to go. It's probably the biggest technical problem when it comes to moving around. It's really important to talk to everyone because dialogue trees are blocked off unless you speak to certain characters. This is extremely important when you have story-altering decisions to make. Once you're finished exploring, the game kicks you out to the world map. I thought this was weird because it really took away from the urgency of the situation, because your team is supposed to be escaping a castle siege, and yet we can pause, relax, kick out to the game map, write grandma a birthday card, have a nice pina colada, just live your life, you know? By the way, on the world map, there's a handful of optional cutscenes to watch, which typically consist of about 10 seconds of loading time, 2 to 3 minutes of people talking, and then another 10 seconds of loading time. And this demo is littered with these. I thought these were going to be mini battles or little situations that you would really be able to make an impact on the game with, but outside of adding lore, they really don't add much. I guess some people really want to dive into the lore, but if this game is truly decision-based and features game-altering choices, then there's a chance that by the time you play this at launch, what happens in the demo doesn't even get seen in-game. So after you've done all your chores and escaped the intensity of the story, you can jump back into your escape. Once again, you endure a cutscene, and then you can finally place your units. Kinda. All units start off placed, so you can only actually swap around positions of units for this battle, which the demo initially doesn't do a great job of explaining. Since this is your first experience with these 9 different characters, you don't really know the strengths, weaknesses, and nuance of play with your fighters. So you just kinda go, well, okay, time to fight. I think it may be the lighting for this particular battle, but a lot of the characters blend with each other, and it's not super clear who each character is in this battle. Fights take place on a grid, so this is very much a Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy Tactics, Ogre Battle style game. In battle, turn order is based on speed, although for this demo it feels pretty arbitrary. The game's mechanics feel fine, but the same camera issue I had when free roaming exists in battle. Moving your cursor to desired tiles does feel slippery at times, and the combination of moving your cursor and adjusting the camera can lead to some wacky tile placement. During player-controlled turns, colored tiles showcase your character's movement. Blue tiles are safe, and purple tiles are spaces in which enemies can harm you, although it's not necessarily totally accurate at times, especially regarding height changes in nearby tiles. Pay attention to your sprite placement because it can be tricky to see open spaces between characters, so you have to pay attention or you could easily miss an open opportunity. I swear, something about the sensitivity of the left control stick with everything. I found myself often flipping between abilities and items as I scrolled up and down on the abilities box when selecting moves. Happened enough to make note of it. After the battle, we're treated to another cutscene where we see an epic battle between 2 very important characters, and they showcase some sort of ultimate moves that look pretty dope. But then we see a main character meet an unfortunate fate, at least supposedly, and it feels like a really big story moment that seems kind of like an odd decision to place in a game demo. Side note, normally game demos would have you square off in a battle against like a couple of bandits or some rogues, or some no-name nonsense enemies in relatively low-stakes scenarios. This demo spits at the notion of that and says, these fights are 100% meaningful and impactful to the story. Which begs the question, how important are major decisions really, and will there be multiple story paths? The game then continues with cutscenes, story options, and more dialogue. You even get to recruit a new party member who has no use at all in the game. Legit, even though she's listed in your party at the start of the second battle, you can't select her to help fight. The game's second playable area introduces you to this voting mechanic. Honestly, this mechanic is really just a spaced out direction select option hidden behind a period of clumsily controlled exploration. Seriously, you want to persuade your team to fight for themselves, and the only way to unlock dialogue choices that appeal to them is to literally go around and mash A in the face of every NPC in the area until you unlock that one line. I can see how this might hardline some characters into or out of your party over the course of the game, but this demo nudges you in one direction pretty clearly here. Once you've cast your vote, you get kicked out to the world map to watch more cutscenes, followed by a short exploration bit to set up the battle ahead. Then you guessed it, back to the world map again, so you can select the same location again for the fight. If you haven't guessed by now, my biggest problem with the demo is that it is just so slow. I spent the second half of the demo both times just holding R and praying we could fight soon. When you finally start the second battle, you'll learn that it's definitely trickier than the first one, and the gimmick of the map is actually really fun. Unfortunately, the Switch chugs when too many things are on screen, and there's fire in this map that provides some noticeable frame skipping, especially closer to the end of the fight. Once the battle is won, you're treated to like 6 more cutscenes, and thanks for playing. See you in 2022. Square Enix dropped a demo that is chock full of lore and exposition, when the most important aspect of a game demo should be how it plays. And when you actually get to play it, it's pretty fun. Unfortunately, the game's pacing and frequent disjointing of the story really takes away from the overall immersion of this experience. There was a ton of dialogue, and at least 3 characters who seem very important met their end during the gameplay. It felt weird that so many important things would happen during a demo. Octopath Traveler earned a lot of good faith with its incredible execution, but Triangle Strategy leaves more to be desired. Less talking and more action, please. Seriously, 17 minutes to get to my first battle? Come on. You're on my radar, Square Enix. And also, please remake Super Mario RPG. Thanks for watching. What were your thoughts about Project Triangle Strategy's demo? Let me know your favorite or least favorite aspects of the game in the comments down below. If you enjoyed watching this, please like, subscribe, and share this video. I'll be making more video essays in the future, so stay tuned. I also have a Twitch channel that I stream games on, so check me out there. Thank you again, and see you next time.